This week, triple the violence, increase the political turmoil, and throw in the threat of war. First thing this week, a battle in western Virginia, specifically Pocahontas County. The Confederates have made camp on a mountain, Allegheny Mountain, so this battle will be known as the Battle of Camp Allegheny. The Confederates number 1,200 men under Colonel Edward Johnson. Opposing them is the Union, 2,000 men under Brigadier General Robert H. Milroy. On the morning of the 13th, Milroy can sense it. Now is the time to strike. He has received reports. The Confederates are cold. Illness has run through their camp, and they suffer from a different kind of sickness, homesickness. They are ill-disciplined. Johnson's forces are of hodgepodge, Georgian and Virginian. They have nothing keeping them together other than his command. The Union advances in two columns, each going to attack one of the flanks of the Confederate main battle line. Though they are supposed to attack at the same time, they don't. The first one to arrive is on the right. They engage with the Confederates and are slowly pushed back. Right as they are withdrawing, the other Union column arrives. Lack of cohesion due to the mountainous terrain, and they're getting there unsupported. But they do have a chance. Some extra time given because the Confederates don't realize that they're actually Union soldiers. When they first spot the force, they just think they're pickets. A Confederate officer runs up to them, hoping to get them in the battle line in case the other column gets back for another fight. He's immediately shot and killed. Immediate shock fills the Confederate ranks, and the Union left flank rushes into position. Then the Union right flank returns and finds even better position. For a long time, the Union is just pouring down fire into the Confederate ranks. But then, Virginian artillery is brought up. With grape shot, they force the Union from their positions. The Confederates then take advantage and charge. But they can't use their strong artillery advantage anymore because of how close they are to the Union force. It just becomes a melee. Many fall wounded or dead. And then after 7 hours of fighting, Milroy decides the Union can't win the day and withdraws. The Union has inflicted 147 casualties on the Confederacy and received 137. The battle is inconclusive, but the Confederates don't keep the land. After Milroy is out of striking distance, they immediately withdraw. Some interesting reports. The same day as the Battle of Camp Allegheny, a secret meeting. During a regular scheduled cabinet meeting, Lincoln goes off to talk with the Secretary of State, William H. Seward. Of course, Clement of Vallandigham is brought up. Interesting to note, the Secretary of the Treasury, Chase, who is a friend and ally of Vallandigham, is not invited. Though Chase is a trusted advisor to Lincoln, has been a welcome voice on every other issue. I don't know much about the secret meeting, but I can tell you, force was brought up as a way to deal with Clement of Vallandigham. The final thing on the 17th, a battle in Harts County, Kentucky, eastern Kentucky. It will be at Rowlett Station. It's the first major battle in the state since the Big Sandy expedition. For this battle, the Union has 500 men of the 32nd Indiana Regiment, or the 1st Indiana German Regiment, because, as you guessed it, they're made up of German immigrants. They're led by Colonel Willich. The Confederates number 1,350 men of the 8th Texas Cavalry and 1st Arkansas Battalion under a Colonel Terry. A little bit after noon, while the main Union body is rebuilding a stone bridge, a stray Union picket comes across some Confederate skirmishers. Soon becomes a race to which side can get their forces there quicker, and since the Confederates have cavalry, they win. While the Union regiment is trying to rush across the bridge, the 8th Texas Cavalry lay down effective fire on them. and then their cannons open up. The main Union body is forced to form a defensive square and just pray that they can survive the onslaught. This is it, Colonel Terry thinks. The day is mine. The Confederates soon charge in, hoping to just wash over the Union 32nd Indiana Regiment. But then they hear the sound of cannons, not their own. Union artillery on the other side of the river has opened up fire on the Confederates, punching holes in the charge. And when the charge connects with the defensive square, it doesn't break. The Union holds firm, losing men, but not a single inch of ground. And then the Confederates realize they won't win. They withdraw. But wait, where's Colonel Terry? He's been mortally wounded and will die later that day. The Union took 40 casualties and inflicted 91, but most importantly, they hold the Louisville-Nashville Railroad. And also, they've consolidated their gains at the Big Sandy Expedition. And the fame of the 32nd soon runs forth. Union newspapers latch on to the story and shows the herring tale to all in the North. 2 days later, a skirmish at Johnson County, Missouri, specifically Blackwater Creek. Union Brigadier General John Pope has 2 brigades of cavalry, each with 2,000 men. He wants to be chasing after Sterling Price, though he has been slowed down to having to link up with other Union forces and recruitment. So in actuality, he isn't chasing the main body of Confederate forces, but Colonel Robertson of the Missouri State Guard, who has been doing his own recruitment drive in Missouri. After an unsuccessful recruitment, Robertson retires to Milford with his 750 men, though Pope knows where his location is now, and on the morning of the 19th, he prepares his attack. One brigade will soon rush and take Blackwater Bridge. The other will move on the flanks and get ready to envelop the Confederates when the times are right. Colonel Robertson gets an interesting visitor, the brother of Kentucky's governor. This is going to be Colonel McGuffin. Colonel McGuffin is given 250 men to form a second line behind the main Confederate body. The main Confederate body will move all the way into the bridge, while the 250 men will act as a vanguard. The Confederates are the first to arrive at the bridge, but are soon face to face with 1 regiment and 3 companies of Union cavalry. The Confederates are the first to open fire, doing very little. The 3 companies then dismount and lay down pretty strong fire, breaking the Confederates' cohesion, allowing the remaining mounted regiment to charge in. This actually gives a chance for the 250 men behind them to take accurate shots against the horsemen. They can't do that for long, because the 2nd Brigade that was sent to envelop the Confederates come charging in. The Confederates don't have the discipline, since they are new recruits, to stay on. So Colonel Robertson first asks for a truce, and then terms of surrender. This is a strong victory for the Union. The Union lost 2 men dead, 8 wounded, against the total collapse of the Confederacy. 684 men captured. The rest are presumed dead, deserted, or wounded, though 750 men of the Confederates have left the ability to fight for the Confederate Army. And all Confederate officers were captured. These will be good to trade with the Confederacy in prisoner swaps. Brigadier General John Pope has won 2 victories against very, strong odds, and here he has proven his ability to win a decisive victory, even if it's a small one. He is a rising star in the Department of the Missouri. The Union has now secured northern and central Missouri, on paper. In actuality, there are many small pockets of Confederate resistance within every part of the state of Missouri. But Major General Sterling Price is about to march into Arkansas. From there, main Union railways and supply lines through St. Louis or Jefferson City are safe from any serious threat. But as the Union moves, they leave those supply lines further and further behind, and go further and further into Confederate sympathizing territory. Also on the 19th, President Abraham Lincoln gets Lord Palmerston's, the Prime Minister of the UK's, demands. He is not happy. This compounds his problems with Congress, needs congressional approval to make any major foreign policy movements, and without that, he can't have any major victories. And this is a British ultimatum. You don't say no to a British ultimatum. President Lincoln has to walk a fine line where he can still make sure that Britain remains neutral in the conflict, while also proving that the US is not a UK toy. Can Lincoln do it? This week, Sickles and his men rest on the cold and misty Potomac. They've been building breastworks to stop any sort of Confederate attack. There has been none so far. So the Excelsior Brigade just continues their hard work. That's where the week ends. 3 major Union victories, debatably, and 2 major problems: the UK and Congress. The UK is an obvious threat. The threat of trade being cut off, the threat of diplomatic recognition of the Confederacy, and the threat of war. But Congress is where the death of the Republic really lies. Lincoln is not liked by Democrats, obviously, but he's also been shedding support from Republicans. Those who are more moderate are angry that he hasn't won the war yet. Those who are more radical are angry that he hasn't pushed for full abolition and then moved those newly freed men to Liberia. Or the Homestead Act is a thought that's been really working through them, giving out land to American citizens. But Lincoln can't do any of that yet because he's in the middle of a war. Congress funds the war, they make the acts he needs, and they help him conduct it through committees. And Clement Vallandigham, Ohio's 3rd representative, has been making gains in Congress. He's been shoring up allies. And, though he is currently nonviolent, he could be deadly towards Lincoln's administration. Hello, it's the entire Civil War Week by Week team here. If you liked the video, please like it. If you want to see more, there should be a playlist of the entire series up till now so you can get all caught up. And if you have problems with commitment, there should just be a suggested video. Please subscribe if you want to see more about how this deadly conflict will play out. If you don't subscribe, I'll just tell Lincoln about your treasonous ways. Lincoln!